What's going on, guys? I'm Landon from Shoewear, and today we're putting the second and the third model from Giannis Antetokounmpo's Zoom Freak shoe line head-to-head to see how they compare. So I don't want to spend too much time focusing on the box and the price, but you can see that the Zoom Freak 2 and the Zoom Freak 3, they kind of come in that like similar type of box setup with Giannis's logo, player logo, kind of being blown up at the bottom portion of that box. And then mixed across the rest of the box is just going to be his player logo kind of in a pattern, just covering the rest of that box. And then for pricing, these are both retailing for $120. So it's still pretty early in his shoe line, but the pricing for these are definitely leaning more towards the more affordable side, which is always going to be nice. But now let's go ahead and get into the shoes. All right, so first, if this is your first time checking us out, feel free to give the video a like and drop a follow or subscribe to whatever you're watching. We would greatly appreciate that. But now, before I get into more of like the tech specs and the performance comparison for these shoes, let me just give you kind of a rundown on some key appearance features for both shoes, just kind of what I like, what I don't like, and then just kind of which one looks better overall to me, because of course we're all going to kind of have our own opinions whenever it comes to the look. So I'll be sure to hit on this quick. So today we're going to be looking at the Zoom Freak 2 Bright Mango and the Zoom Freak 3 Stay Freaky. So not that we're here for like a colorway name competition, but Stay Freaky is going to take the cake on that because that's just great. That fits Giannis perfectly. But the first glaring difference, or kind of what stood out to me the most between these two designs, is going to be that last year's model did not have a strap, but they do have a strap kind of running across the upper this year. So straps actually have really grown on me, not just from like a performance outlook, but I think it does give shoes a lot more to kind of work with. They even added his like shoe line name to the inside of that strap where it says Freak. So Nike does kind of throw it on and off like a bunch of their signature shoe lines. I know that KD and Kyrie have had it on multiple pairs, like having that strap set up. The KD 14 even got one this year. So yeah, I actually do like that added feature. But the big swoosh on the side of the Zoom Freak 2 has a much better look to the side of that upper than the kind of small reverse swooshes to the side of the Zoom Freak 3, just in my opinion, of course. Although, if we're being honest, the big like reverse swoosh from the Zoom Freak 1 was actually super clean. If you want to go and check those out, or if you've seen those before, you know what I'm talking about. But this was actually a pretty close contest for which direction I'm leaning as far as like the appearance goes. But even with that strap trying to sway my vote, I just don't really like what the Zoom Freak 3 did with like the back half of that shoe, like with the reverse swoosh, like I said, and that kind of wave design. But I just think that area could have been a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. But after all, this is a basketball shoe anyway. So now let's go ahead and hit the whole purpose of this video, which is putting the materials from each shoe line to the test to see which one plays better on the court. All right, so checking out more of the performance side for the comparison for these shoes, we're going to look at cushioning first. So I will say that the Zoom Freak 3 is going to be noticeably more comfortable than the Zoom Freak 2. The midsole is sort of kind of hollowed out underneath the front half of that shoe, allowing for two Zoom Air unit pods, or units or pods, whatever you want to call it, in that region that do give these a really soft feel to play in. Something cool that Nike actually did whenever they were creating this Zoom Freak 3, this third model, is that if you look off to the outside, or like kind of the outer portion of that shoe, where you're going to have that like blue little shark teeth or shark tooth, like blue marble region, blue strip, whatever you want to call it, it does engrave the word air to the outside. And of course, you know, like I just mentioned, that is what's inside of the shoe, but it also kind of gives you a window through that word. You can see through it, and it allows you to see the Zoom Air units that are at work inside that shoe. So it just kind of gives you more of a visual representation for what's going on for that cushioning. So I thought that was a pretty cool touch, because you just won't really see that on most shoes. And then jumping back to the Zoom Freak 2, I did think it was a little bit misleading how on the back half of that shoe, they have Nike put Nike Zoom Air labeled back there, but there isn't any additional cushioning on the back region. But for the midsole on the Zoom Freak 2, it is going to be a little bit more firm than this year's model. But checking out the upper on each shoe now, moving on from there, you do have pretty much two entirely different things going on here. So the second model, the Zoom Freak 2, it's going to give you a really sturdy feel, kind of coming from those materials that they used all throughout the top of that shoe. It does keep your foot super locked in, and you know, it eliminates movement, which is something really nice. But whenever you switch over to the Zoom Freak 3 model, the upper definitely seems to be an area that they cut some cost to kind of help keep these shoes affordable. Because like I said, both of these range on the lower side for the basketball spectrum. But you can easily see the difference in the toe region whenever you're comparing the two shoes. While this third model is pretty breathable and it's going to allow for some like really good ventilation, you don't get quite as much of that like locked in feel from what I noticed. And they did throw the strap on there to maybe potentially help with that, but you can kind of tell that from playing in this with the strap that it's not really there for performance. So I still felt a little bit better security in that Zoom Freak 2 model. But then jumping to the bottom of these to check out the traction setup actually does differ across both of these models, which I was just a little bit surprised because it's not really all that uncommon to see a shoe line kind of follow the same kind of traction design. But I would be willing to almost say that the traction is sort of the weak point for both of these shoes. The Zoom Freak 2 does kind of play pretty well as long as you wipe them to keep them clean. But for the Zoom Freak 3, I did notice that these proved to be pretty inconsistent. It is one of these like computer generated like traction designs that Nike uses, but just overall, I think that it could have been a lot better. And I honestly wouldn't expect the same exact traction setup to stay on next year's model whenever that comes out, which it'll be probably a year because these just recently released. But to finish off with sizing, these do run true to size, but I wouldn't consider this a wide fit by any stretch. So you may want to consider either going a half size up if you want a little more space, or maybe just staying away from this shoe line in general. But you know, honestly, for $120, it's a great shoe. So it's a pretty good shoe anyways. I'd still try them on in store to give them like a shot, or even order them online at most retailers because a lot of them will give you free returns. But for the final verdict, a slight edge goes to the Zoom Freak 2 for the appearance, and then jumping to the Zoom Freak 3, that's going to win the cushion battle for sure. But the materials used for support and for traction, I am going to have to give that to the Zoom Freak 2. So I am between these two shoes for the competition. I am going to have to rock with the Zoom Freak 2. But of course, at $120, both pairs are going to be a solid indoor and outdoor option for you to hoop in. So just pick what factors are most important to you, whether it be cushioning for the Zoom Freak 3 or more of that stability, sturdy feel for the Zoom Freak 2, and go from there. All right, so that pretty much wraps up our unboxing and performance review for the Nike Zoom Freak 2 and 3 models. Thank you guys for taking some time to watch. Be sure to let me know which one of these two shoes that you like better or that you're going to end up going with in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you guys. And then if you're interested in purchasing either of these shoes, just check out the links in the description below. Also, be sure to click the link in our bio, and from there you can find our shoes that are going to be available for sale on our website. And then you can also just go ahead and head over to our social media if you would like to stay informed on upcoming sneaker releases, different stuff like that. And then last, just feel free to leave a comment below letting us know if you like this video or any other shoes you want us to do a comparison on. But until next time, I'm Landon from Shoewear. Peace.